Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast, where we discuss addiction, recovery, and mental health topics. And our mission is to demystify the process of therapy with raw, authentic, and real conversations. My name is Manny Romero. Jesse O.
This week, we talk about anger.
Please remember, guys, subscribe to the channel. If you get some value from the show, if we make you laugh, make you think, if we make you giggle, give us a share.
You make us angry.
If we make you angry, give us a share. Jesse, you ready to talk about this? We changed up the intro.
We did?
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, we don't.
We're just going into this,
Let's
bud.
go right into it?
Yeah, we're going into it, bud.
Oh, man. So,
what do you think about this, dude? Dude, how come, what do you think about this, sharing idea? Why don't you ever promote us, dude?
What are you talking about?
How come you never share
us? What?
Every time I say share the show, I'm talking to you.
Really?
You never share the show.
I struggle, dude. I just struggle with social media. So your hair is pretty pumped today, dude.
Thank you, big dog.
What you put in your hair?
Dr.
Sasquatch?
Want me to tell you why?
Why?
Why it looks like this?
It's not this. It's not going to be another something about Mary comment, is it?
No, actually, I'm not really proud of it, but I haven't showered today.
Yeah, buddy.
I've been out all morning.
Yeah.
And so I just put some water in my hair and put a little bit of that paste. It looks good, though, right?
It does look good, man. You couldn't even tell. Thanks for revealing to all the listeners out there that you're stankonia right now. I'm not wearing a hat today, so it's haircut. I got a haircut.
Oh, yeah, haircut. Yeah.
Haircut. I'm stumbling all over my words now. I need to be a little bit cleaner, especially when I continue to progress in this episode. But yeah, so I got a haircut, and I just got a haircut. That's all I got to say about that. And I'm wearing a leather jacket right now. As I'm wearing my cut. I'm gonna jump on my bike right after this, my moped, and just hit the highway. Because life is a highway, man.
Highway to hell.
Oh, there's that song too. So
yeah. So we've been doing something in our episodes a little bit. We haven't really been intentionally doing it, but we've been checking in, right? We've been I've been asking you how are you checking in today? So I think we're gonna make it a segment in the show. Right?
We'll make this a segment every week. He's been saying this to me, and I'm like, I like when you say that. The way you present that's so cool. So
good, yeah. Because I thought you hated it.
No, man, I hate most of your ideas. That idea, I like that one.
No,
1 out of 10.
I feel so accepted right now.
There we go.
So we're gonna. I gotta get the clock going.
Yeah, did you see my eyes?
Yeah.
I don't think I have ADHD, but I think I do have some OCD. And all of a sudden, the clock was not in front of me, and I'm like, "Where the fuck is the?" I wanted to stop you mid sentence and be like, "Yo, bro, give me the clock." So give me the clock.
How you checking in today, buddy?
Wait, do it. Wait, you got to be right here to say it. Be involved, bro.
Therapist.
Yeah, right, that's good right there. It's beautiful. It's right on top of all them pillows. Right. So,
how you checking in today, buddy? My voice is off too because I'm sick. But
I'm in really good spirits today. It's interesting though because the topic that we're going to discuss, I feel like it should be more ramped up and more fired up. But I'm pretty level-headed. I'm in a good place. I'm really trying to be as vulnerable and deep right now as possible, and I'm digging into my soul. But right now, yeah, I'm excited about today's episode. I'll share with the audience as we might be doing 2 episodes today, but the other episode we have set up to record, I'm excited about it. Nice. I feel like that I'm really I was hyper focused today to make sure the content and what we put out there is it's pretty detailed. Nice. I'm in a good place today, dude.
That's cool, man. So you've been having this. You've been having this goal on the podcast to get a therapist.
Go fuck yourself. What is this shit? You just flipped the script. I said I was in a good place. Did you intentionally try to piss me off right now? Why'd you throw me under the bus?
I'm not. I'm your friend here. I'm on your side. No. So you've been having this goal since the start of the podcast. To get a therapist, right? That's okay.
I have not.
Look, dude.
I don't have a therapist.
Look, man.
I'm a hypocrite.
Look, no, that's not what I'm saying.
This is good.
Look, dude.
Getting hot.
Don't get off the fence.
You got the AC? Did you turn the AC on?
Get off the defensive on me, buddy. I'm here with you right now.
Sorry.
Look, we're here. We're in this moment. Mm-hmm. I love you.
Thanks, bro.
Still love
I love you
bro.
too,
I
man.
still accept you, man.
Thank you.
But my question was, I know you haven't gotten a therapist. The reason why you wanted to get a therapist, would you say that's because you're in a good place right now, is that like not like a present issue in your life? Are you just kind of like, that's not disturbing your peace right now?
No, I still, it's something, full truth.
Yeah.
Was even this week, I had I have a notepad on my phone of like things I want to do, goals, and finding a therapist, I was like, oh, that's been on there, and I was
So
like,
you still want to?
Yeah, I still want to, because here's the thing, like I do this a lot, is like I will have my own process, and I'll do the self-talk, and a lot of times I feel like I can work through my own problems. But it's still, I think it's nice to have somebody, a professional that would be in front of me to help me with my mental health, because there are going to be times when things come up, and despite all the things that I'm working on and the coping skills I'm using that I've been taught, I still am in a struggle. So I think that it's really important to, I want to have somebody, I want to do more for my mental health. Okay. I don't want to do less. Just because I'm in good spirits doesn't mean I'm like, psh. I'm like, it's kind of like, maybe for some people it's like, hey, don't need the meds anymore. Yeah. I feel so good. Maybe that's a bad example, because I'm not I'm not always like pro medication. We've talked about this on the show, but no, it's still a priority. Yeah. I think I was even going to like tell my wife, I'm like, hey, keep me accountable. I need to get a therapist kind of thing. So no.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting because different people go to therapy for different reasons, right? And so there's people who go to therapy because there's an urgent crisis happening in their life, and it's just like, I gotta go in there and I gotta get some reprieve, get some help.
Yeah.
But you're kind of looking at it as like, I just want to work on my mental health overall. I'm not in crisis.
Right.
Would you say you're good and you just want to like have a place to learn more about yourself, or would you say
that's
like that's what it is?
Yeah, I want to learn more about me, and like, because I know that. I don't know, actually. Maybe I should take that back. I don't know yet. There's things I have like a clue about, but I probably would need. I feel I need more. I need to dive in more and kind of look at more things and try to still resolve some things and get some understanding. Because I feel like as life continues on, there's more to reveal about yourself. I think if you continue to look. But no, I most definitely. I want to. I don't have the answers yet, so maybe I'd like to find the answers out. Maybe I'll never find the answers out, but if I don't ever try, I'll never know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. That's awesome to hear. And it's probably, I don't know, I think there's more of an urgency when you are going through a crisis to get a therapist. When you're not going through one, it's not always the top of your list. So no shame in not having a therapist. Like that's all right.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, yeah, but you're right. I automatically jumped to like the shame feeling when I was like, no, because I'm procrastinating on a couple things right now in life, so I know that I am, and one thing in particular, I'm just scared to do it, and maybe I'll talk about it down the way, but I just haven't done it yet, and I'm just like,
what are you scared about?
That's what I'll talk about it.
It's
something like it's just making a move professionally. So I think something we've talked about already, like. I saw myself going, hey, I'll do it this the beginning of this week. Like, there's just like one more thing I need to do to kind of figure something out. I'm being very like vague, but
for sure.
But yeah, so that's how I'm checking in today. So,
man, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, how about you? How are you checking in today? DJ AM, what's up? Rest in peace.
DJing over here, dude. I kind of want like to have eventually, like a table right here where I'm like hitting the keys.
I would like that.
I'm in a good place overall. I think I've been real connected, I want to say, to like my like spiritually connected over the past few weeks, which has been really nice.
Good.
And I've been having these like very special moments of gratitude. It was so weird. The other day I take my kids to school every single morning.
Well, that's great.
And it's nice. It's a nice time. We get to spend time together.
Yeah.
And in the car, me and my daughter, one of the things we'll do is we'll just listen to random music. She'll pick music. I'll pick music. And we're bonding through that. And there's one song that we haven't listened to in a while, and I've introduced her a long time ago. Do you know the song Beautiful Boy by John Lennon?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so my dad used to like play that song for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I found a Beautiful Girl version on YouTube.
Okay.
And so I played that for her, and I kind of adjust the rear mirror as like I'm driving, just to kind of like see her face. And she's like staring off into space, and she's like, Dad, I kind of want to cry right now. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I started crying when she said that. And I remember holding on to that moment. I was like, don't escape me, because I just like, I go through my days sometimes, and I don't really take moments to appreciate just the fact that I have 2 kids, you know what I mean? And so it was just a cool little moment for me to just like, oh man, this feels so good right now. Like I feel like I have someone to love, like someone loves me, like, and I'm like, okay, I feel good. So I feel like that picture of like having that experience, feeling that, I feel like that's been where I'm at today. Just like this like peace of mind and like happiness that I'm experiencing right now. And it's not always here. So I'm really like just appreciating that it is.
Dang. That's good, man.
Yeah.
That's just good stuff, dude.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to smash that all up right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we have to get into the topic.
That's okay. Yeah,
let's start the clock.
Let's start the clock.
This week.
By the way, when we end, we got to make better transitions, dude. We be ending so abrupt. It's
that's
like,
well, how else we're supposed to do it?
It just feels like you're just like, get out of here, dude. Like,
bye-bye. This week on Mr. Therapist and the Counselor, we're going to talk about anger, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, hit the Limp Bizkit. Let's go. Break stuff. You know that song? You do know that song. Seriously, dude?
Limp Bizkit, the only one
Limp Bizkit. What do you know? The Nookie?
The Nookie.
Yeah. Anyways, we don't want to talk about too much about Limp Bizkit, but anger is such like it's a broad topic. But
why did you want to talk about this?
Because I think it's something we never really went into, and there's like I told you, like I have so much thought and content and ideas on it. What was it? A couple weeks ago we brought up. Well, the clock has started. So with anger, a couple weeks ago or maybe a month ago, I don't know when we recorded something, but like I had mentioned that anger. You know, we talk about anger being a secondary emotion, and to me, explain again, why is anger a secondary emotion?
Well, I gotta go into this. So, Mr. Professor Manny mode time right now.
Professor Manny mode.
So some people think anger is a secondary emotion.
Some people.
Some people think it can be a secondary, but it can also be a primary.
Okay.
So why don't we just like what does a secondary and a primary emotion even mean, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So primary and secondary emotions. A secondary emotion is an emotion that you're more comfortable experiencing. And a secondary emotion covers up a more vulnerable emotion. The vulnerable one is the primary emotion. And so, you know, most of the time people experience anger as a secondary emotion because they're comfortable experiencing anger. Yeah. And what's behind that anger, the primary emotion is usually like either shame, embarrassment, feeling unsafe, right? But it's harder to talk about that.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Made a lot of sense. That's good, man. You explained it really well. So
I talk about this all day long.
Yeah, do you, right? Yeah. So I mean, I would always argue that anger is a primary emotion. I think a lot of times because I feel like anger gets a bad rap. Yeah. Now, listen, if you grow up in a home and anger is the key emotion shown, it's probably not a very healthy environment. Sure. And I think some of the things like that I come across with people that I work with is like people don't want conflict. Anger is something they shy away from because it could be a real negative feeling. I think people also get a little confused because, like I said, I was trying to say anger can be a good thing in the sense because even like being assertive and aggressive, right? Like people don't even know the difference between those two things, and I think they're important to bring that up because I think being assertive, for the most part, is a pretty good characteristic, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
But being aggressive, do you ever see that as being like a positive thing?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think everyone has a different experience of aggression.
Yeah. Once again, it's how you see it. Because if somebody were to say, "Hey, you're," I
value aggression though.
I think if somebody was like, "Hey, you're being aggressive right now," I'd be like, "Oh, I'd probably take a step back," because I'd be like, "No, my mission statement was to be assertive with you, not to be aggressive. Aggressive, I feel like I'm almost like, I guess mentally this is what I feel like. I'm almost like kind of impacting a boundary that I don't know about. So
and that's not good, right?
Yeah, that's not good. But you said aggressive. You could see that going after something aggressively.
Like there's like aggressively like pursuing a goal, right? Or
what's the difference between aggressive and assertively though? Because I feel like assertive can be kind of similar, right? Isn't it?
I guess aggressive is riskier, maybe. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Assertive is just just you're more you're asserting. You're like, you know what you want. You're very clear about it.
Yeah.
Where aggressive is maybe you're taking a little bit of a bigger risk trying to pursue something. I also think of aggressiveness in a good context in sports.
Well, yeah, I think that's where my you're aggressively going after the ball, like something like that. So, but I guess that gets introduced quickly to me because that's physical.
Yeah,
that's a physical thing. So, to where assertive to me, I feel like is more like using your words to craft the direction you want something.
When someone's telling you you're coming off aggressive, like that's, I don't think that's ever going to be a good thing, you know? Yeah. And the difference, so I think some people struggle being assertive, right? They don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They, especially if you are just by nature more passive, it might be harder to know, like, how does being assertive even sound? Like, what language do I use?
Right.
And people who are passive at times will just to not be passive, they'll overdo it and they will come off aggressive.
Right.
Almost like they work themselves up, right?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I can talk to you about that from experience, because I feel like I'm a passive person by nature.
Yeah.
And so it really takes work to when you got to speak up about something, when it feels uncomfortable, to find that balance of being assertive and respectful.
I guess most people are like that. Some people you can be, because I was going to ask you right now, like, because in some ways that you're probably, you describe yourself as being more passive, right? But there are times that there are things that you do want to be assertive with, right?
Oh, sure,
So once again, it's kind of like, it's not universal. Like the feeling and emotion, it could change. There's some things I become more passive on, but there's something that I want to be assertive on. So, but I guess the goal, I hope for a lot of people, is that, like, if there's something you are being passive in life, at least take a look at it. Maybe it's appropriate for the situation, the scenario, but if you need to be more direct or assertive, like, maybe that's something that needs to be addressed. So,
how would you define anger?
Oh shit! How would I define it?
Yeah. So I had a conversation with someone a while ago, and we were talking about the feeling of anger.
Yeah.
And they talked about anger. They said, when I grew up, I didn't know that anger is something that you could just talk about. You could just say, "Hey, I'm angry."
Yeah.
Like, I had to show that I was angry.
Yeah.
And so, like, we were talking about just breaking down what anger is, because, and it makes me think of, like, some people might think anger is a show of force.
Yeah.
A show of aggression, right? Some people might think of anger as a physical sensation, right? Anger is what I feel when I feel tight, when I feel my heart's beating fast, when I feel something in my gut. Some people think of anger in form of thought. Like, anger is a thought that I have. Like, ooh, I don't like this person, or I really, this person really pissed me off. And so I feel like it's so complex, right? And
it can be, yeah. So,
yeah.
As you're talking about anger, I'm thinking about rage as well, right? So,
that comes to your mind when you think anger, yeah.
I was also thinking, like, this other thing of rage, and that's like almost a sense of being out of control with your anger. I don't know if this is the right time to transition to this, but, like, I have this anger group that I run, and a lot of times I'll bring up the conversation. I'll use a quote from a guy named Zach De La Rocha. He was in a band called Rage Against the Machine. And there's a part, one of his songs, the song is called Freedom. And in the song, he whispered, like, anger is a gift. Now, when I first heard that, I was in, like, high school, and I was probably thinking about how I can get a Mickey's 40 and, like, talk to some girls. Actually, I wasn't even that developed yet, let's be honest here. So, but, like, that's not how I was in high school, actually. But but I remember, I think probably the first time I never thought about it, and then later in life, like, hearing anger is a gift. It was, once again, didn't really consider it. But as I looked at it in life, like, anger is a gift, I was like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to, like, because for the most part, I feel like a lot of times anger is perceived as a negative emotion. Sure. But I think it's okay to get. If you're not feeling anything at all, and maybe at least anger is something that you're feeling, there's got to be something behind that, right? So if you're not a person that really drives off emotions, and when I say emotions, like, I'm not talking like being like not having impulse control, but I think if there's sometimes anger could mean something, like you don't like how things are. And I look back on the song, and they were talking about, like, a person who was wrongly convicted of a crime, so the idea that people were upset and enraged that something could happen to that person. Like, anger can be a very powerful emotion. Anger can provoke change. So I think that's where anger can be a good thing. Like, if you're sitting at home right now and you're angry about your situation, or you're angry that you got fired from your job, like, okay, and maybe behind that emotion, like, anger is sadness's bodyguard in some ways, but that anger can be a fuel to light a fire and really promote something brand new for you in your life. So I think that's where I can go, okay, anger can be a gift, unless you have like anger management issues then.
Sure,
so,
yeah. I think it's all influenced by upbringing, right? Like, how you think about anger, the way that you see it, is influenced by the people who taught you about what anger is,
right?
If you grow, it's okay and when it's not okay.
If you grow up with like a father who abuses your mother physically, and like I said, like, if anger is the emotion that you grew up on, like, yeah, anger is most definitely dressed up the wrong way for you. That's not a good look to see anger. But if you can see somebody who's like an advocate for something, like, and uses anger to like express or raise their voice, then they're like, oh wow, anger is this powerful entity. So
when you think anger, do you have like a sort of a negative connotation towards it?
I don't actually.
No?
I think that the anger, I think at times I could be pretty angry. Now it's not always good that I'm angry, but I think behind the anger for me a lot of times it's probably hurt, or that's a guess. I think it's probably just hurt, or I feel like I don't know. I guess there's two ways to look at it, because a lot of times I feel like ego plays a big part in why I'm hurt. Okay. So that's probably not a good thing for anger.
You said you experience anger a lot, like it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty. I think there's a part of me that's still pretty angry.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like I'm pretty overlooked. Like I'm not given my due. It's kind of, and that's like, that's a whole. But I think that's a lot of it's low self-esteem as well. Like I feel like I should be treated a certain way, or I wish people would. Maybe it's more I wish people would see me this way. So, so I think that's a huge thing right there for me. But anger a lot of times is that protective thing for me. Okay. But I've also I grew up like listening to like aggressive music where I was like, man, this is powerful. Like I mentioned Rage Against the Machine, or as I told you, I listen to punk rock, or any of those bands where I'm just like, it gives me something. It gives me like, all right, I could stand up for myself. It's inspirational. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think I think there's an anger inside of me.
Who's it, like, when were you first aware of it? Or did people tell you like, oh, like you're a very angry person?
Or
how do you even?
When I was shit-faced drunk, I mean, I don't know. Was I angry? Was I angry drunk? I don't remember if I was. I'm sure I was angry at times, but I was more like a fucking knucklehead and shit, like making everybody laugh. But I don't know. That's a good question. When I pinpointed my anger, that's probably why I need to go to therapy. But I tell you what, when we talked about spiritual awakening one time on here, the statement that was made to me that really helped me start to open my eyes about change was like when somebody said, you're not that angry of a person. And I was like, you don't fucking know me. Yes, I am. But I was like, you know what? I think it was because I realized like anger was really like tainting the waters of my experience. And I wanted to be seen as something different, or I wanted to feel something different. I don't want to be angry all the time. I wanted to I guess I wanted to find some joy and happiness in life as well. I don't want to be like resentful towards life. So, which I talk about anger and resentment, but resentment was something I had a lot of resentments towards a lot of people and a lot of things and a lot of systems. So, and I mentioned before, the thing they say about anger is like drinking poison and expecting it to kill your enemies. So it's not. It's only hurting you. That person or that thing it's sitting in your head. They're probably not even thinking about you at all. They go through the day free, where I'm locked down or tied down to that thought. So
when I experience anger, I do experience it a lot, and it's not aggression. It's not rage. I experience it more. I feel frustrated, when it comes up for me, right? And so I'm either frustrated that like something didn't go my way, or I'm frustrated that kind of similar to what you said. Like I'm frustrated that I'm not at a certain place yet in my life. I'm frustrated that my career is here and it's not. I don't know if that's gonna. It's gonna fuck it up. I don't know. We gotta check the camera to see if that's gonna. Sorry, dude. Yeah, you can't see. Just move that.
That's good. Yeah, you're right.
Move that. Yeah. Yeah, so when I do experience anger, it's in the form of...
Say that again, start over.
When I experience anger, it's in the form of frustration. It's in the form of like, it's never rage. It's never aggressiveness. But it's more like little pockets of frustration like throughout the day. And there are times in my life where I feel like I am prone to feeling more of that, whether it's frustrated with my life, like, man, like I wish I was like in a different place, or I wish I was like, stronger, richer, more noticed, more acknowledged. And it definitely starts to sort of infect like every cell in my body, and I just start to become frustrated about everything. And it's it for me, it does become a negative thing. And there's times where like I get angry and I can really channel that, and it takes a lot of energy, but I can channel it and respond in an assertive way, right? Because I got angry. And like you said, like in the moment like that, anger is a gift.
I think it was a good transition. You brought up what you said made me think of something that I wrote down and I wanted to talk about, was that the idea of venting. You know what it is. You know what it is to vent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I read this study recently, and then it reminded me of a book that I had not fully read because I still, even back in the day, I didn't have time for fucking books. My wife was telling me the other day, she's like, "I wish you would read more." And I was like,
"Nice.
What are you trying to say?" But like, I was like, if you listen to podcasts, I gotta tell you what I say on there. I ain't got no time for fucking books. But then I did this. I saw this study from this book. Her name was what was her name? Her name was Amy Alcon. It was called an Unfuckology: A Field Guide to Living with Guts and Confidence. And she talked about the idea of venting. I think even Freud initially talked about that there's a catharsis with venting. Like if you let a little steam out here and there, like in some ways that will like it will dilute the anger, and so you won't like pop off and blow up, right? So part of me while I burst, because if we hold everything in, we hold that anger. If we just like vent and like share, no, not share, but to vent is different than sharing. Vent's like, dude, I'm so tired of this and that. Like I need to let off some steam, right? So, but there's been a lot of studies, not even based on her book, but like other things that I've read, like different college studies throughout the years. And I said, like a recent study that came about, that venting is usually doesn't actually really work. It actually gets people more and more worked up. And I think part of it is that people, let me ask you, do you vent?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But I agree with that sentiment.
Do you? Yeah.
I
okay.
agree with that. Like it does. It's so weird. It's like a tool, right? Like it's and if you don't use the tool correctly, then it can be more harmful than good, right? And so I think venting is one of those tools that there are times where it is appropriate for me to use it. Maybe when I just haven't been able to talk about this with anybody, and just venting out can help me gain a little more clarity, can help me say like, okay, I've said this out loud, and as I say it out loud, some of this sounds like, it's me. I could change some things. It was my fault a little bit. So it helps me view the situation a little bit differently when I vent. But if I don't use it that way and I just vent to vent, then like I think it can be something that like it feels like it's making me feel better, but at the end of the day, it's like not really fixing anything. Yeah.
I believe this, that there is no progress in the vent. I think that the vent is a fugazi, and in the sense that if you don't take action, you're stuck. I mean, sure, it feels good to like put that shit out there, but if there's no process in the vent, like you're just going to continue to like ruminate on the thing. Like you have to I believe you have to be assertive with like that vent, because it's not, I just said you get stuck in it. You're not moving anywhere, and that's why like it's important to like take action with it. I'm fucking repeating myself, but you
gotta take action. I mean, who are you venting to, right? Like if it's someone who's going to continue to like stir the pot and make you feel worse, it's not going to help either, right? And if absolutely taking action, what does that even look like? I think it looks like, what am I upset about? What can I do to change it? What is out of my control? Right. And so it's like helping you really understand, where you can apply some action steps to change the situation.
I read this book. I'm lying again. I read the book.
What the hell, dude?
I have this book. I should just say that every time. I have this book. I read some pages from this book, right?
Read some words.
So full of shit sometimes. It's called.
You angry right now?
Mad at myself again. Never Get Angry Again. That's what it's called. It's right in front of me. Never Get Angry Again. It's by a guy named Dave. Never Get Angry Again by David Lieberman. It's a PhD. But he talked about anger management. Do you think anger management works?
That's such a broad question. What are you talking about? I mean,
do you think that anger management is an effective tool to reduce anger? Have you worked? Let me ask you this.
Yes.
You do think so?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, it's like saying.
Does therapy work? No,
yeah,
it's not.
No,
it's not. No, it's not.
No, it's like saying, do coping skills work? Like, what are you talking about?
What I'm saying is, I think, in his book, he does talk about how a lot of times anger management seems to do, I don't want to say the opposite, but there isn't a lot of progress. It's kind of like those things where people go and there's these experiential activities where people go and break stuff, right? Have you seen those things where they go and they're smash TVs and there's a catharsis with that, but I don't think that those are not really shown to help people process anger.
That's what this guy argues.
Yeah, he kind of puts that out there, and it's like a process. Once again, I think that's kind of a vent. Yeah.
And you read this.
It's yes, I read this. I did. I read this part. I did read this part. It's kind of like venting or screaming to a pillow, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say it's a form of venting.
Yeah, it's like if screaming in a pillow. It feels good in the moment, to pick something up and break it. It feels good. Maybe I'm empowered. But what are we really doing with the feelings of anger? I think, the action. I don't know if we're dismissing it. We're somewhat addressing it, but I'm not saying no anger management works. I can't say it never works for anybody. I would never say that. But I think that it's kind of an old school tool in some ways.
Yeah. Well, I think in that moment you're being unfair to anger management because. I think
this is your chance, to talk about that Adam Sandler movie, right?
What?
It's just right here in front of you. You have not brought up. I'm so
anger management.
You have not brought up the Sandman one time in this podcast. I'm so shocked, dude. I'm so fucking shocked right now. Have you been thinking about the entire time?
I think we should do a real reel of thinking about the anger management scenes. No, but I was fucking dude. But what I was gonna say is anger management is such a broad term. There's so many ways to manage anger, and so to minimize it into this idea of anger management is throwing axes across the room, breaking TVs. I want to protect anger management from that accusation a little bit.
Maybe we can go into that another time in another place. But it could be a good further discussion.
But I will say that you're right. I agree with you. I think that that works to an extent, and I think again it works differently for everybody. But what if somebody was angry and what they did with their anger was drink? And wouldn't you prefer they go to a room where they can experimentally break crap? And,
you're right.
Versus.
Well, I said it's a catharsis, though. That I think at least there's a healthiness to it. And even with venting, I'd rather have you go, gosh, I'm so angry right now. I'm so mad at this person from my work. I'm just going to go home and get shit-faced. Yeah. No. Yeah. Maybe go vent to somebody. Because, yes, at least in the moment, feel better. But my hope is just, through all this and what we're doing here is that, you found a problem. Yeah. You don't just don't do one thing. You got to do more to address the problem. So, and then that's what I'm thinking.
There's more steps to move through anger than to vent or to let it out. There's also the change factor that you're talking about.
And maybe I want to reel it back a little bit, even though I put it out there with anger management. No, I don't want to say anger management never helps anybody, because at least I think with anger management, I think it's there are coping skills with it.
You know what I love about you?
Yeah,
you're so open-minded and
thanks,
you're
man.
so okay to be wrong sometimes.
Yes. I'm
dude. There's not a lot of people that are that way. That's fucking awesome.
Oh, thanks.
It's a skill set of yours.
I appreciate that. No, I make a lot of mistakes. I wanted to say one more thing about the book that I read a few pages from, called "Never Get Angry Again" by David Lieberman, PhD. There was a part though he talked about what he talked about though. One thing about anger that I really did like was he talked about the perspective. It's like the idea of like when we have a child in front of us, you know, there are probably some people, unfortunately, that do get really mad at their kids, but when we have a young child in front of us, like we can really take a perspective in them, like not knowing how to do certain things, so we don't find ourselves like not getting very angry. I don't get very angry at my daughter. I don't get angry with my daughter. Like I'm more accepting, and maybe it's harder when we have a grown adult in front of us and they're just like acting like a child or a toddler. But it is perception, and it's something that he had mentioned that I thought was like kind of cool, as he talks about like the three forces in this perspective is like the soul is what is right, the ego wants us to be right, and the body just wants to escape from it. And I thought there was something powerful with that, and like with anger, and just if we could just take a look at things and be a little bit more open-minded and be more accepting about whatever triggers those anger impulses, like, because it's like I said, even though I've been kind of advocating that anger can be a progressive thing, but for those that use anger in a like cynical, cruel way, like take a look at your anger and try with a little tenderness and be okay and find some perception and some acceptance and something that's somebody who doesn't know how to do something or doesn't know any better. So once again, perspective is such a big thing for anybody that's struggling mental health or in addiction. So
yeah, there's definitely
get it together.
There's you remember that one show where I just laughed for like 5 minutes?
Yeah,
that was good.
You cut out like 20 minutes because you couldn't stop.
There's definitely something to say about
need some water.
Accepting.
You need water. Drink her. Just
Does
drink.
It sound bad?
Drink Patty. Come on. Suck down Patricia.
There's definitely a factor in managing anger where it's like, acceptance of the anger is an important thing. It's an important part of the process. If you get frustrated at yourself for being angry, then you're just adding on to that experience, right? And so, yeah for sure.
As we're running out of time, is there anything else on anger you'd like to bring up? Because we are pretty close to out of time. There's one thing I do want to say before we close out.
You know what I just heard you say?
Wow.
As we're running out of time, we can only say one thing, and I have one thing to say, so don't say anything.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, you do. You got the floor. What do you got? Is there anything that you want to say?
I don't have anything to say.
I just want to say to the viewers out there, the counselor, Mr. Therapist, let me say it again. Mr. Therapist and the counselor, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I would be angry at myself if I disregarded that altogether. So it's an important month for those that work in the field, those that struggle with mental health. So if you're not addressing your mental health, if you're not taking self-care importantly, take a look at it. It's so important to do that. It's hard to find time in the day for us, for you. You might have a husband, a wife, you might have kids, a job, all this stuff that is consuming you. So mental health awareness is so important. I think I don't use the word everybody, but I feel like everybody in somehow, some way has mental health, is impacted with their mental health. So this is a good month to shine a light on it. So
I love it, man.
Yeah,
it's a great way to end a podcast.
There we go.